You want to learn how to do the splits fast? It's easy. You just do it. See? Easy. And today I'm going to give you the key ingredients, 4 of them, to get a deeper splits. Here we go. Told you it was easy. What? The bottom part was cut off? You didn't see that I was in the full splits? Seriously? Well, I don't have time to reshoot it now, but welcome to this week's Goalie Training Pro TV. This week I'm going to help you get a deeper split. Some of you are actually going to get a full splits. Every single Wednesday at high noon, I post a new video that helps you win more games with fewer injuries. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you've already subscribed, hit the bell. That way you find out about new videos before anybody else. My name's Maria Mountain. I am an exercise physiologist. I've helped over 10,000 goalies, literally, get a wider butterfly flare. You can too. I'll put a link in the description, but it's called the Butterfly Challenge. Most goalies get 2 to 4 inches wider butterfly flare in 14 days or less. It's true. But now let's talk about the splits. And here are the 4 key ingredients you need to get a deeper splits or even get the full splits. Ingredient number 1 is to choose your parents wisely. So not everybody has the hip structure that's going to let you do the splits. We don't all have a perfectly shaped hip socket and a perfectly shaped ball on our femur that lets us get that range of motion. Some of us are going to be limited by just the bony structure. So a really important thing, and I know it's hard to hear, is you have to listen to your body. And if you are working consistently on the right things and you're not seeing any improvement, then it really is worthwhile getting your hips assessed to see, okay, what is maybe my potential here to gain some range of motion. I think heading to a good sport physical therapist who can do some, manual assessment techniques on you will help give you an idea if, hey, I think you might be at your limit, or no, there seems like this is more of a soft tissue limitation. Sometimes we'll get into joint capsule restrictions, which manual therapy can help release, and that can help you get deeper. But not everybody can do the split. So a really good kind of measuring stick is, could you do the splits when you were younger? Like effortlessly, could you do the splits? Then there is some chance that you'll be able to get them back. How long that takes is kind of a tricky question. But if you sort of have a medium depth splits, you can expect that it might take up to a year to be able to get full splits. And that requires consistent training as we go through. And I'm going to give you some exercises in this video too that you can specifically work on. So now I really want to highlight the difference between a stretch on the opening side of the joint and sort of a pain or a block or a pinch on the closing side of the joint. So if I am, let's just say I'm doing a kneeling groin stretch. So I'm here. Am I limited by a stretching sensation in my groin? This is the opening side of the joint. Or am I feeling limited by a pain, a pinch, or just a block on the outside of my hip? If I'm having something on the outside of my hip, or I'm not feeling a stretch, but I can't go any further, that suggests that we might be running into, could be connective tissue like joint capsule, or could be bony structure. If we keep trying to smash into a position that is just blocked by bony structure, what happens when you continually, if you're digging with a shovel in your hands and you're continually putting stress on the same spot in your hands, you'll get calluses, right? Same thing happens in your bony structure. So if I'm continually trying to smash my bones together thinking I'm going to increase my range of motion, I'm going to develop bony calluses, which is one of the ways that FAI develops and gets worse. So you really don't want to be doing that. If you're feeling a stretch, good, keep going if it's not uncomfortable. If you are being consistent and you're seeing really small improvements in range of motion, then yeah, that's kind of normal. That's what you get. in the early stages, you might see some dramatic improvements in the first couple months, but then it's going to become smaller improvement, and it's really going to take time. Again, in your head, be thinking, okay, this is going to take me like a year to get where I want to get. A little fun fact that you might not know is that it takes 7 to 10 years for all of the tissue in our body to remodel. So basically every 7 to 10 years, we're like a completely new person. Muscles regenerate or regrow a little quicker than that, but still, it's going to take a lot of time. It's taken us a lot of time to get stuck in the positions we're stuck in. It's going to take us a lot of time to unlock this range of motion, and really we have to consistently send a signal to our body that no, like, I need to be in this position. And part of that adaptation is changing the script every so often. So you will have to change your approach to then sort of stimulate different types of adaptation. You aren't going to just do these exercises forever and get there. Maybe you will, but it'll take a long time. But work on these for a few months, and then you would progress to another set of exercises that targets these key points that we're going to talk about in a second. I am not a fan of spending like an hour stretching or 2 hours stretching. I think that really doesn't give you the best return. I'm more a fan of doing it consistently 5 days a week for sort of 20 to 30 minutes, working on your goalie specific mobility, of which getting the splits is a component. So number 1, have the right parents, have the right hip anatomy. Number 2, be consistent. Number 3 is address tissue quality. If your connective tissue, your fascia, which is a connective tissue that surrounds every little microfibril and bundle of fibers and muscle, it's really what kind of creates your tendons. If that is adhered to the underlying muscle surface, then no matter how much you stretch, you're not going to really improve your mobility. So when we get in and work on tissue quality, we kind of get in there, maybe break up some of those adhesions, get things moving a little bit better. So the key areas you're going to be wanting to look at are your hamstrings. We can use a lacrosse ball, we can use a foam roll, but we're going to get on the hamstrings to work that. You could use a massage gun. Whatever you've got at your disposal is fine. Hamstrings, you're going to get adductors. Sometimes it's a little easier to use a foam roll on the adductors just because it gives you that clearance. It's pretty hard to get on it that much with the lacrosse ball because your knee is always hitting the ground. So sometimes a foam roll is a little bit better for your adductors, and you want to get that whole range of, length of the muscle. You're going to go after your hip flexors. They're going to be super important for your front splits. So that's just in the front of your hip. And even your calves, because that's part of the muscular chain. So even though you think, well, I don't need my calves to do the splits, it is a part of that chain from your hamstrings to your glutes, even into your back extensors. So we want to try to find extra range of motion anywhere that we can. I'm always confused. Tell me if you're the same. Well, okay, so that's a statement in itself. I'm always confused. Drop a comment below if you're like me too. Don't worry about it. It's okay. No one's noticed, or probably you've noticed. But and so, period. Here's another sentence. I'm always confused between which is the front splits and which is the side splits. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to call the front splits this. Okay, this will be front splits, and the other way will be the side splits, all right? So let's just agree for this video, I'm not saying it's right, for this video, that's what we're going to call it. If I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments below, and then if I'm right, tell me in the comments below, and we'll see how many other people are sort of confused by which is the front and which is the side. So we've got, have the right anatomy, be consistent, work on your soft tissue quality, and number 4 is building strength at length. Because what we really don't want to do is just stretch our muscle as if it's like some sort of pliable rubber band. What that does is there's some other things going on. Your nervous system really tries to protect you, so hopefully your nervous system would protect you. But what it does is it kind of makes it so that you could get into a position where muscle tissue is lengthened, which is where it's really vulnerable to injury. Your muscles have these cross bridges, and they kind of slide past one another. So even just with your fingers, like when I have a good overlap and I pull apart, like I can't pull that apart. But if I get to a point where I don't have much overlap, where my muscle's in a really lengthened position, and I pull it comes apart very easily, or it tears very easily. So hopefully your brain would protect you from getting into those positions by contracting your muscle and stopping you from doing that. But if it doesn't, or if you really overload that, or something happens, that's how you tear your groin or your hamstring or whatever it is. So we're going to work on really building mobility, functional mobility that you can use on the ice, which means strength at length. It's also the way that we improve that range of motion anyway. So let's get after it. I'm going to give you a few examples here. So look at this little tower of terror that I've assembled. It's like 2 bumper plates, an AirX pad, and a half foam roll on top of that. I want something that lets me get into my front splits position and feel pretty comfortable there. The cushions off the sofa are actually perfect because they kind of take your form and support you a little more. Wouldn't you know it, the cushions don't come off our sofa. So I have to jerry-rig it like this. But make sure you're supported and get in that comfortable position. So let's see how this goes. So I'm nicely supported. I'm keeping my torso tall. I don't want to get, way bent forward or side bending or anything funny. I'm trying to stay in line. I know this knee is bent because I don't have the mobility yet. But from here, I can hold this position for 30 seconds. Then I can push both my toe and my heel. So my toe on my back foot, my heel on my front foot, down into the turf, building that pressure for about 15 seconds. So here I am building strength in this lengthened position. I'm also doing sort of a proprioceptive facilitation pattern, PNF pattern, or an FRC pattern. So for 15 seconds. Then I could also, contract my quadricep, contract my glute, and try to, almost like I'm trying to lift my feet off the floor or pull them further apart for about 15 seconds. And then I can just relax. So I'm not going to come out of it. I'm just going to relax. Let my muscles get a stretch for about another 30 seconds, and then I would switch to the other side. Most of you are going to find in the front splits that you're more comfortable with your left foot forward and your right leg back. And there's a reason for that. Let me know if you find that, if you're like, yes, exactly. Tell me in the comments below. And tell me too if you want me to explain why most of us are more comfortable with our left foot forward, because I can do a video on that. Now we'll work a little bit on the side splits. And I think it's maybe not a bad idea to just pick one or the other, but you can use similar techniques. So we can just come into a side splits, same technique, but I want you to keep your torso tall. So don't, let yourself come forward just for the sake of getting lower. That's the goalies that try to do a split save and then end up on their belly every single time. So we can go here, we can hold this stretch, we can do the push, we can do the pull, we can do the hold again. One thing that I like to use, I like to set the TRX so that it's just kind of hovering above the ground, and it lets me just kind of slide my foot, but I can also hold on to it. So again, I'm really well supported in this. I'm not just hanging off my muscles. And then as I feel like, okay, I feel I've got a bit more range, I can try to lower myself a little bit further as I go and hold that position. I can do the same into my front splits. Again, I'm trying to extend this back leg a little bit, but let my hips sink down, trying to stay nice and centered, but I'm holding on so I can adjust how much tension there is on my muscles. Now, definitely this is a little non-specific because, if you're thinking of me on the ice, I'd be like bent over at my hips because I'm flexed at my hips. But I think it is a good way to sort of get that that side splits, open up a little bit more range of motion. So I just have my feet on the wall so they're not going to slide back in. I can use my hands to help keep me up nice and tall. So I don't want to sort of, be here rounded off. I want to be nice and tall. And then I can also just bring my torso towards the wall a little bit. Some of you will be lying right down and be like, what's the big deal? But this is for those of us that don't have that specific gift. So each of these positions, if we're doing a static hold, which again, my preference is to do the contract relax, but you can mix it up a little bit. If you're doing a static hold, I would hold for at least a minute. But again, here you can do 30-second hold, 15 seconds pushing into the wall, 15 seconds pulling away from the wall, and then a 15-second hold again. This one will just be a straight up hold. So I just have a super band. You can use anything you have, a stretching strap, a towel, a belt, whatever you've got. But you're going to keep your knee nice and straight. This leg is straight, toes pointing up. And I'm going to bring that up as far as I can until I feel a good stretch. I'm going to hold that position for 30 seconds. Now I'm going to keep my pelvis nice and level. I'm going to come across my body for 30 seconds. I'll feel that more on the outside. And then again, I'll keep my pelvis nice and level so I can't roll my hips. And I'll come out to the side as far as I can. And I'll hold that for 30 seconds. So I'm interested to know if you do the splits. How much do you use it on the ice? Drop a comment below. One of the key points I want to make is that you don't need the splits to be a successful goalie. Even goalies you see in the NHL that it looks like they're making a split save, they're actually not. They're reaching one leg, the other leg's kind of bent around behind them. The pad gives them a little bit of elevation. I asked Carey Price how important he thought it was for goalies to do the splits. And he said he thought it was really cool, but he also admitted, I can't do the splits. And he's done okay for himself. So, I make a point of asking every single elite level goalie coach I ever meet. So that's, Thomas Magnuson, the head of Swedish goaltending development, Mike Valley, Rob Tallis, Mitch Korn, every single one that I've met. How important is it for your goalies to do the splits? And no one has ever said, oh, it's pretty important. In fact, they pretty much all say, I don't want a goalie doing a split save. If a goalie's doing a split save, it means they've done something really wrong. Now, I also appreciate that you get that, and you're like, I know, but I want to have that tool in case I need it. I get it, and that's why I've kind of okay, I made this video for you to help you out with that. But it's not the be all and end all. And I know sometimes, especially when you're younger and you're very mobile and you can do almost anything and not hurt yourself, that doing a split save sometimes becomes a default. And because it's really exciting and your teammates are like, oh my God, did you see that? And the parents go crazy and, you're getting a lot of positive feedback. You might do 7 split saves, in a row. I remember a goalie who was interning pro. The first time I saw him play on the ice in person, he probably did 6 or 7 split saves. And he was at the age where he was getting ready to go to college. And so I said, man, if I see you do one more split save, I'm going to spank you in front of everybody. Because, it's as you get up higher levels, that isn't the way that goalie coaches and teams want you playing. Because they also know that comes with a cost. And even if you think of NHL goalies who've been sort of famous for their split saves, and it's they've often paid a price, and often they've ended up injured or needing surgery or things like that. So there is a cost to it. I'm giving you this because I know it's important to you, and I know I do understand that it's just a tool I want to have. Okay, but not all of you are going to get it. I'd way rather have you investing your time in getting a wider butterfly flare. You're going to stop a lot more pucks with a wide butterfly flare than you are with the splits, with a lot less wear and tear on your hips. I'd rather you be working on, your strength, your stamina, your goalie-specific speed, so that you can play with patience, you can keep up with the play, you can make a second save, from a neutral position, from a compact position, without having to make those great big desperation saves. So I'll just get that off my chest. If you found value in this video, now is the time to give it a like. I would super appreciate it. New videos come out each and every Wednesday, so hit that subscribe button. If you've subscribed already, hit the bell. If you want 3 of my quickest ways to unlock hip mobility, then click here, and then it'll give you exactly what you want. And I will see you next week.